Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome back to the Hangin with Web show. I'm GW Pomichter. Right here, we are on HWWS WebTV. That's right, subscribe. Click the bell, smash the bell, as the kids say, so that you can get notified. Come back every single day. We have a new author, artist, filmmaker, musician, creative mind of some kind just for you. And check out all the other fantastic shows right here on HWWS Web TV. Check out the Orlando Wizard. Check out MBL Entertainment. Check out J. Bauer Art and the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. So much content right here on HWWS Web TV. We are here at Space Coast Comic-Con, and we're having a ball already. We are here right now with Hangin with Web Show alumnus and good friend, author Gary Roen. Gary, how are you, man?
I'm great.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you
how
again.
How you been?
I've been fantastic.
Wow.
I've been having fun.
We got Slotski's World here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember reading. This was fun.
Yeah.
This was a fun read.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
This is great because this is book 2.
This is book 2.
That's right.
It's a companion to Journey, my first of the series of a collection of short stories. This is the second.
Awesome.
This took me less time to write also.
Well, you know, by the time you got to this, Slotski's been on quite the adventure.
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere, in every way that you can imagine.
Yep.
So tell us, now you have, these are a collection, an anthology of short stories.
Right.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about some of the adventures we can look forward to in because you know what I loved about Journey was that Slotski's adventures were, each one was its own personal journey. Each one was its own, and it took the reader through varying issues, but all through the eyes of this
teddy bear
observer,
exactly.
Teddy bear. And so tell me, what kind of adventures is Slotski looking forward to now?
In the prologue of this one, and I thank Gabriel Vaughn for suggesting with Journey that I put a prologue, because we sat at dinner one night and he said, I think this needs a prologue. So that was in Journey. This one is the prologue that explains how Slotski became Slotski. I won't say what he is, but it ties in also to a story called Ryan's Passing in Journey. I won't say how, because I want people to, purchase the book and find out.
And those who saw our first interview together know that Journey was a bit of a catharsis for you as you were writing too.
Exactly.
As you were on your own journey.
Exactly.
And so Slotski got to experience many of the emotions and the feelings in the life that you were exercising.
Not really. No. What Slotski basically is you got a bad situation, and he's there to help people settle a problem they're having. In this book here, Slotski's World, I have traces. Something has happened to Stacy and Myron Beagle's house. And I began the story with Stacy and Myron Beagle loved their residence in Christmas, Florida, until one day when they returned home from shopping in Titusville to find it completely gone. Now, what I based that on was I saw a situation where a husband and wife did return home and they found their house gone.
Wow.
And there was no explanation. And in here, there's no explanation. But Slotski helps Stacy and Myron figure out what happened to the house.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, so they get to see their varying problems, and in this case, they're missing home through Slotski's eyes a little bit. He gets to help them to find.
Well, he has certain powers and things that enable him to help people. In one of the stories back in Journey, there's a criminal and the guy steals a Toyota and he calls it a toy-o-er, and he's just happy to misconstrue the word. He encounters Slotski and he says, that's it, I'm done. In the case in another story, Cats, oh my, in Journey, that situation was there's a lady feeding the cats in the neighborhood, and the neighbors don't like it because these are the stray cats, and they're doing all kinds of dangerous things to, and bad things to vehicles and other things, and messing up with kids and all that. So Slotski comes into the picture and solves the problem, and what I based that on was a story in the Sentinel that my sister-in-law wrote.
You have a lot of plucked out of the headlines kind of stuff happening here.
Exactly.
Now, let me ask you, and we're going to remind some of our viewers from our earlier interviews. You had been a literary reviewer for many years.
Okay.
And so what made you decide to take the next step and become part of the literature?
Because I had been a writer writing short stories all along. It's just this hit when I was working at Florida Mall in Orlando, and I saw the teddy bear, and all of a sudden it hit me to write a story. I didn't know where it was going at first, but it was the explanation of how he got his name, and that was the story of Slotski Bear. And then the collection evolved, and then this collection, Slotski's World, took place after Journey.
Now, Slotski's got a rather unusual, if you will, way of getting around. He gets around.
He gets around
quite haphazardly.
Yes.
Rather than in a lot of stories, and again, the characters in most of your stories. Now in Journey, and I haven't gotten through book 2 yet, but in Journey, the characters in your stories are they are the protagonists. Their problem is the antagonizing force. But Slotski is still a constant. And that being said, most of the time a protagonist enters a story quite intentionally.
Yes.
Slotski never does.
No.
Slotski's always kind of being passed from here to there to there.
Exactly. He's only intended to be
there.
there.
Use that.
I'm not sure, but I think it has to do with where I found the teddy bear.
Okay.
The original teddy bear. I found him in a trash can at the mall, and I pulled him out and just observed kids who are playing, in the mall, and they'd come up and bash him, and they do things. And I even had a story where a kid does that, and the bear tells him, "Don't do it. You'll suffer the consequences." And the kid's like, "I'm going to karate chop you, whatever." And he finds out, no, you don't do that to this bear. I think that's where it came from. And so now I keep it where he shows up on a trash pile or he shows up in a trash can. That's why Gabriel Vaughn's covers are the moon and a trash pile, because we're making a statement of what's the future and where are we going to put our waste on, the moon, maybe.
And I think
the bear is there too.
One of the best messages, though, that sends is that sort of the old adage: you don't know where you're going to find good advice. You don't know where you're going to find a good friend. You don't know where you're going to find a favorite toy.
Exactly.
It could be in the trash. It could be in a pile of something. It could be in a box that your grandfather used to have. It could be. You don't know.
Exactly.
And that could be the best advice or friend or whatever that you've ever had, coming pulled right out of the refuse of someone else's life.
Pretty much.
And from story to story, we get to watch Slotski do that and have a major impact on all of these protagonists throughout the course of your short stories. It's a really interesting way to tie otherwise unrelated stories together.
Exactly. That's the tie-in to all the stories, that he's either a cameo or he is the main center doing something to help the people that he helps.
I think I recall in Journey, didn't you have one story, and I'm thinking, this was a couple years ago when we talked about Journey, you had one story where he really wasn't a player in the story until much later in the story we kind of see him. He just kind of there.
Exactly.
And he just sort of, there he is in the background, and you realize, oh my Lord, that's why we know this story, because Slotski's been sitting over there out of our sight and our mind the whole time.
Exactly.
And that is just a really interesting way to insert a narrator or insert a set of eyes into a story.
Well, in this one, in this collection, I have to find where it is, but it's Joe's con experience. A character named Joe loves Star Trek, and he'll do anything for Star Trek, and he gets a chance to go to a Star Trek convention. Slotski only enters as a cameo because Joe and his friend are walking home from high school, and they find the bear on the trash can, and they say something like, "Oh my God, he's hideous. What? Well, Slotski doesn't help him, but I was making a statement of we all try and fit in to some group, and the beauty of this one, I won't say what, but Joe wants to fit in, and he's trying to fit in by going to a Star Trek convention. And I won't say what happens, but the fact is, we're all trying to do something. And
and community is so much a part of that.
Yeah.
Finding our niche, finding our tribe, as it is. And speaking of which, you and I first met right here at Space Coast Comic Con.
Exactly.
That's right, years ago. And I know you and I are both sci-fi nerds from way back.
Oh yeah.
But you were you were getting your feet wet in the local convention community. How has the adventure been?
It's been fantastic because the acceptance of this character is overwhelming. Midwest loved the book. Ben Bova gave me a fantastic comment. Everywhere this book appears, people love it, and I'm just sitting back loving it because that's the most rewarding thing for a writer. And
to know that your work speaks to someone, to some reader.
Exactly.
And that a lot of times our readers don't pull the same messages out of a book that we put into them.
Exactly. I learned that from writing poetry, because I got to the point where I said, if you've got a reaction to the poem, fine. I don't care what it is, just so long as you react. And people would say, well, what do you think what do you think I got out of it? Well, I don't know what you got out of it. You want to tell me? And then they'd say, well, is that what you intended? And I'd say, well, I intended that you get something out of it.
Well, my catharsis was in getting it out of my head.
Exactly.
Your catharsis is in what you take from it. And if those two things are the same thing, amazing, fantastic.
Yeah.
But if they're not, it's only important that a character or a story spoke to you.
And the fun of it is I can put in things that I want to. And in Fader, I put in 732 North Thornton for a reason. That was my grandmother's house. And I always remember the days and nights that I spent with my grandma at her house, spending the night with your grandma. And so I put it in, and I put it in as an Asian detective agency, but it fits with the area of Orlando, because it's the Asian area now, and you have the restaurants of Vietnamese and Chinese and the supermarkets
that has a special
and things.
meaning to you.
Exactly.
The detail will help to bring your reader into the story, but it's not going to have the same meaning to them.
No,
they're going to pull something different out of that.
And so that's a thing that a writer can do. And so that's where the personal aspect is, because I don't really focus on me. I focus on the story and the characters that I'm describing. And I loved in Fader where I put the situation, 3 Chinese guys come in. They're going to ransack the
That's
office
the beginning
of the
a bad internet joke, by the way.
Yeah, but they come in, they're going to ransack, and they encounter Slotski.
And all we know for sure is when that happens in one of Gary's stories, hijinks will ensue. And that is what it's all about. Guys, we could talk to our friend Gary Roen for hours and hours, and we have at length at times. But right now, we're going to say thank you to our partners and our friends at Famous Faces and Funnies, J. Bauer Arts, Space Coast Comic Con and Space Coast Comics, Hearts Helping Others of Central Florida, B and her crew over there, Brevard Film and Talent, of course, Mommy and G Creations for all of our merch needs, NSCLiveTV.com. Check all these folks out. Check out the links in the description down below so that you can find great work from Gary Roen and many, many other fantastic artists. Stay tuned in and stay logged on and see who we're hanging with next. Awesome. Gary, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Oh, my God.